Kia ora, I'm Mary Jo, Kiwi Bank economist. When the pandemic hit last year, the need to lock down was effectively a shock to demand. The inability to go out and spend saw a period of deflation when prices actually fell. But now, a year later, our economy has reopened and demand has rebounded. The threat of continued deflation has certainly receded, but border restrictions are still largely in place, and the limited cross-border flow of goods and labour is throwing up all sorts of problems. We're now dealing with a shock to supply, and there are signs that cost-push inflation is building. Global supply chain disruptions have led to higher freight costs, firms are facing considerable delays in sourcing materials, and commodity prices have been rising as global demand recovers. Now, on top of all of that, the closed border means that firms are finding it difficult to find the right workers. So wage growth might start to pick up as firms compete over a shrinking pool of available workers. Now, all this cost pressure points to rising inflation. Now, in the past, firms have found it difficult to pass on rising costs to customers. They could lose market share or risk giving up sales to the bigger digital competitors like the Amazons of the world. But these cost pressures are being felt across the global economy. And given that there are few signs to suggest that the strength in demand is waning, firms may actually find it easier to pass on the rising costs. In fact, according to the NZIER's latest survey of business opinion, more than half of the firms surveyed intend to increase their prices in the next 3 months. Now, from the Reserve Bank's perspective, they typically look through cost-push inflation, given that it's usually temporary in nature. However, the longer these disruptions continue, there's risk that the current price pressures begin to affect long-term inflation expectations. That is, some of the current price pressures may actually prove to be persistent. And in that case, pressure mounts on the Reserve Bank to lift the cash rate sooner rather than later to keep prices stable. That's it from me this week. I'll talk to you in the next one.